It's ironic that I'm feeling oddly nervous about making a video about total trust because, the whole point is meeting each moment exactly where it is, trusting that whatever words come are the right words, even if they're the wrong words. It's an energetic feeling of being truly present. And I of course, when I am truly present, then there's a kind of direct access to the sensation field. And it can kind of attack you in a way. Or I don't want to say attack. It's more like, yeah, like lost children crowd in. Like, oh, she's present, let's go. And then it's can be very intense. And I'm getting better at bearing that intensity. When it's like word at a time improv. It's I'm laughing because I'm thinking like, Chat GPT is kind of word at a time improv. So, I mean, I like to think we're more than word association machines, but who knows? Point is, you don't know what you're going to get. You really genuinely don't. This is not at all where I thought this video was going to go. Not referring to notes, my memory, it shows up or it doesn't. But yeah, this feeling of total trust. And it's funny, it's like lately I watch what's being said or I watch what's being done by my apparent self. And it's kind of like it happens how it happens, whatever my mind blah 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 is about it. So I can be in the shower thinking like, oh, I have this to do and I have that to do and I have and or whatever I'm thinking. And what I'm actually doing is still, washing my hair. Um, Either not turning the water off or turning the water off. Yeah, I have no idea what to say next. I feel like I have a point to make, but I guess the point is total trust is on the one hand, it's kind of meaningless because trust, not trust, stuff still happens. Reality still shows up. The next thing shows up, the next word. And you don't know what it's going to be. You don't know. It's such a pacifier or a crutch to imagine you know how the future is going to go. And when that's taken away, the abandoned children of your energy system come out to play. Well, they come out to beg for. Again, I don't want to say beg. They come out to be felt. They come out to be integrated, acknowledged. And it's really, really, really intense. But yeah, trust is a concept. Um, what does it even mean, trust? Like trust that the reality is here, trust the reality will continue, trust the reality is stable. That's not it. Trust that the future is going to be how you want it. No, I don't trust that. I mean, it's not the point. Yeah, the future is going to be what it's going to be. It's going to take care of itself. The present is what it is, and it takes care of itself. My mind keeps trying to scramble to understand everything and predict things, but fundamentally, the deeper wisdom kind of, even just basic logic, but basic logic means nothing to abandoned children. So they're going to have their say for a while. And you can feel it right now, just the intensity of it. I used to touch into it, and it was like, a hand on a hot stove, and it was just like right back away from it. Um, or I get in that kind of space of like quote unquote trust. I mean, the thing is, you don't actually need to trust anything. It's just happening. That's it. That's all there is to it. Apparent life is apparently happening. Is it beautiful? Is it made of love? Who decides? I mean, those are concepts, and what is just is. It's not melancholic necessarily. It's not blissful necessarily. I mean, melancholy comes, bliss comes. But there's a feeling of stability starting to arise, and not a stability of, like, of course, everything changes constantly, but a stability of, like, there's nothing to be shaken, there's nothing to be, even if fear arises, there's no one to be afraid and nothing to be afraid of. If a flower arises, I'm looking at two zinnias out my window right now. It's just like, hi, friends. Oh, three zinnias. You guys are pretty. Who says they're pretty? I don't know. They're just pretty right now. Um, You know, they say you lose everything, and it feels true. Just, oh, this is here, and this is here, and this is happening, and this is happening, and like there's nothing else to say. And I'm cognizant of how it might sound, or how it might have sounded to myself if I had heard this, a year ago. And it's hard to honestly describe in a way that I would have understood it a year ago. Impossible. It's a process of unbinding, unbinding, unbinding. Painful and long and many layers and so intense sometimes. And sometimes you're just lost. Sometimes you're just in the washing machine. You're just churned under by just all the lost children of your system wailing. But if, I was able to keep at it, and the fruits are never what I expect. There are no fruits, but it feels more honest. And it also doesn't feel totally stable yet. I feel like, yeah, I got a ways to go. But I have a lot more equanimity about that. About like it doesn't matter how far I have to go because I'm right here. Wherever I am, that's it. Like there's nothing else to there's nothing to escape. There's nothing to fix. There's nowhere else I could possibly be. So why would I waste energy wishing I was in some other state, in some other level? It's nice to reach that level of equanimity because a lot of the anxiety, a lot of the yeah, that seeking that's so exhausting. There's nothing to seek. You're just here. That's just it. But it's impossible. It was impossible for me to fully take that on board until it was possible. And it might, like in the next minute, I might be thrown back uh, into seeking or whatever. I mean, that's the thing. You don't know. It's part of why I make these videos, so at least I can kind of remember what happened at a given point. Even if I can't be there, I can be like, oh yeah, I remember what that was like, and maybe I can. I mean, maybe that it feels like it. It feels like the eventual lowest energy state in a way. And by that I mean I'm talking like a physicist or a chemist. Like that's the stable place. That's the place where you can really rest because you're like the binding energy curve of elements. It's like hydrogen, helium, whatever, whatever, and then iron is at the very top. Well, it's kind of inverted, but anyway. And then like sort of it sort of trails off a little bit to uranium and whatnot. That's why when you um, break up uranium, it goes. Yeah, the first time I saw that graph, it was inverted, so it's kind of burned in my mind. So let's reverse it. Okay, hydrogen, helium, whatever, whatever. Iron's at the bottom, and then uranium and whatever is kind of it's a more gradual curve. So when you break up uranium, it releases a certain amount of energy to get to the lowest energy state, to get toward iron, which is the lowest energy state of all the elements. Which that alone, what a fascinating fucking fact. Why? Why iron of all things? And it's what makes our blood. Anyway, sorry. So then where was hydrogen anyway? Yeah, hydrogen. When you fuse hydrogen, it's a huge amount of energy because there's a very steep curve toward the lowest energy, toward the iron, right? So when you fuse hydrogen, it releases a lot of energy. But I used to wonder, like, why do you fuse some elements and it releases energy, and you break up other elements and it releases energy? That's why, because everything's trying to get to be iron. Iron is the most stable atom. Um, so yeah, I feel like as a as an apparent entity, I'm trying to get down to this lowest energy state. I'm trying to become iron. I'm trying to become like um, something that doesn't get broken down further, something that can rest forever. Maybe, I don't know. I think iron, you can probably fuck with iron somehow too if you really want to. But so I mean, yeah, like it's always asymptotic, as Angela says. You don't know what asymptotic means. It's like if this is a value, say 1, then this curve gets closer and closer and closer to 1, but never reaches it. That's what asymptotic means. So you get closer and closer to whatever perfection, the very, very lowest energy state. Um, but something can always maybe like knock you off if it's has enough force. I don't know. I don't know. It's all very mysterious. I'm trying to use analogies that maybe don't make a lot of sense, but the point is, it feels more and more restful as more of these exiled structures, emotions, whatever, work their way through my system. I feel more and more settled. I mean, like right now, the this sort of sometimes I can't identify what the hell's coming through. Right now, what it feels like is a kind of existential anxiety that is not too unpleasant or anything right now. It's just it's not even too intense, but it's the kind of thing that a year ago I would have done anything to avoid it. Scroll social media, eat something, whatever. And now it's just like, come on through. Channel's open. Suez Canal is now no longer blocked by the Ever Given. My son, he loved the Ever Given story. We were all about the Ever Given for a while. Um, yeah, so what's one thing making a video in this kind of state? It's another living life when everyone's reminding you of your past and mindful of your future and maybe even counting on you having a future. There's a butterfly on the middle zinnia, kind of black or dark, dark brown with white spots on the lower, white and orange on the lower wings. I can't tell. I don't think it's a swallowtail. I plant swallowtail fennel so they can make their caterpillars there. But I haven't seen any caterpillars yet this year. Yeah, if there's one thing I'm jealous of, it's people with a green thumb because, I would love for my yard to be an oasis for pollinators and everything, and I do my best, but don't always know what I'm doing. Sometimes my plants don't make it. Often my plants don't make it. Anyway, got a good crop of tomatoes this year. That's nice. But that's I was talking to a friend about how, like, what is the point of all this? Even if you get to the lowest energy state, okay, what then? And it's like, there's no what then. You just live. You just live and you're chill, You live and you're not contributing to the total volume of, or the total mass of human suffering and human pain and human anxiety, unworthiness, all of that. You're out of the way. You're out of the, and then even maybe you can be helpful. You don't have to be helpful. You don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, to be honest. I mean, often when I'm driving and I'm so happy, I'm thinking like, this is the part of the movie where, the car gets crushed by a semi or something, because I mean, that's all of our movies are about somebody like, are about conflict, you know, they're about problems. All of our stories are about problems. There's no story about somebody just being happy all the time. There's no movie about that. There's no model for that. Like Grey's Anatomy, the way they killed off McDreamy still kind of pisses me off. I didn't know they had to do it one way or another, but I mean, come on. Everything was going well. He was happy, and then flattened by a semi truck, you know. So whenever I'm like driving down the road happy, I'm like, oh shit, where's the semi truck? Um, so I mean, the truth is, maybe there's a semi truck next time. I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know what's gonna happen, and that's part of the anxiety of it. The like, you know, we think trust means I trust that my life is going to be long and healthy. It's not really it. I trust that I'm gonna be financially rewarded for hard work. It's not really it. If it happens, fine. But that's not the guarantee. That's not the trust. There's no guarantee. And trust is meaningless. And yet, for right now, reality is showing up as this. Can you trust that? Can you deny it? So yeah, being able to settle into the present moment kind of feels like giving up the future. But in fact, what I was doing before was giving up the present and the future, because the future, I mean, it was never, it's never here. It's just not. So I'm giving up nothing actually. What I was doing was I was giving up the present. I know, whatever. You can crochet that on a pillow. What's the difference? I mean, be here now. Ram Dass said it decades ago. So so simple, right? But it doesn't work to just know it any more than it worked for me to know how to drive my brother's manual transmission car after I read a book about it. I didn't, I, yeah, I was kind of mad at my parents and brother for laughing at me for being like, oh yeah, I know how to drive a manual car. And they were like, okay, show us. And I'm like, okay. And then of course I was total fail. Um, but instructive now that a good metaphor. But yeah, it's definitely easy to say that, easy to believe it. Did I just make a video about that? I think I did, yeah. Um, I have a long list of videos I want to make. It's hard to remember exactly what I've actually done and what I've just written notes about. But yeah, easy to say things, easy to believe things, even to some extent, easy to live as if they're true, but to energetically embody those such that it's actually your lowest energy state, such that it's actually your default. It's very, very different. And it, for me at least, required a lot of very painful unbinding. But kind of the more I did it, the more I got used to it, and the less it feels like suffering, and the more it feels like relief. And I feel like that's kind of a little bit of a phase change from like being dragged, kicking and screaming through the phase, and then being like, oh yeah, okay, let's do it. I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know what's going to happen next. But the trust, there's no other option but trust. I mean, that's the fundamental option we seem to have is do you try to dig your heels in against how things are, imagining you can control them if you grip tightly enough, even though you're gripping, you know, you're gripping chalk dust or something, it's just like you're gripping jello. It slips straight through your hands. You're not gripping anything actually except yourself. So do you maintain that gripping for some false sense of security that might have been a boon when you were a helpless child? Or do you finally just allow yourself to be a helpless child with a kind of, I was going to say informed consent. Is it really informed? Is it really consent? Because we don't know anything other than what apparently appears at a given time, and we don't know what that is. Um, Consent. Yeah, no, I mean, speaking for myself, I feel strong enough now that given everything that I know and everything I've experienced, I'm finally in a place where I can say, yeah, I've got nothing to lose. I get it. I have nothing to lose. I get it. I never had to have anything in the first place. I mean, I've had some apparently a glimpse of the void, and I'm grateful for for all this warm splendor that is delivered to my consciousness every single moment. I've also had an experience on some pretty strong weed gummy that I had a I had a feeling like I was the only consciousness in the universe, and it was terrible. And so, if there is only one consciousness in the universe, and it broke itself apart, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to have apparent friends, apparent flowers, apparent children. And I see glimpses of what it would be like to live on this earth as children in Eden, just enjoying all this together. And I wonder why all the horrors that maybe arguably started with the Abrahamic religions. I mean, in some ways, I mean, as opposed to, the more sort of shamanistic religions. It's like suddenly there's a hierarchy, there's a central figure, there's my tribe that's better than your tribe. Maybe they were always kind of my tribe's better than your tribe feeling. But anyway, it's like, yeah, there's one God, but I worship him correctly, not you. I don't know, maybe indigenous communities had similar rivalries. I don't know. But somehow our societies have become quite rigid and hierarchical and warlike. And it's not working. It's not working anymore. If it ever worked, it's not working anymore. It's showing its ass in a lot of ways. And I was at a get together in Tulsa a couple nights ago, and the people there doing genuine work. I mean, some of them are kind of where I was. Some of them are in their 20s or whatever, and they're kind of where I was in my 20s. Talking the talk, maybe even walking the walk, but it's conditional. Um, but I can see the sincerity, and I can see that they're more uh, evolved than I was at that age, and gives me some hope. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be pretty. Big sclerotic institutions fall really hard. And, you can't just straight up replace them with dirty hippies. I mean, it's like somebody's got to deal with the sanitation, somebody's got to deal with vaccinations. And I mean, just the whole, hopefully, I mean, I don't know, maybe we're going to choose to live like a bunch of dirty hippies in the next phase. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't I don't want to sound pejorative when I say dirty hippies. I mean, I'm talking about like reading the electric Kool-Aid acid test and the guys kind of understanding that they fucked it up. Like they try to throw too much baby out with the bathwater. And then you get into like spiral dynamics. Um, Ken Wilber, he explains why you can't just throw the baby out with the bathwater. You got to integrate everything that came before. So postmodernism feels so empty and kind of gross because it throws all the baby out with the bathwater. And it's just very rarefied and unsatisfying. And so the liberals revolt and the conservatives revolt, and yeah, you get a big mess, and you got to figure out a way to integrate all of it. Not easy. But if Ken Wilber is correct, then once this sort of once we start working out the kinks of this, it might take centuries. It might get a lot worse before it gets better. Maybe we're finally in an integrative phase, and that's what I'm interested in. That's why I'm interested in taking a course with Dr. Gabor Mate, because he seems really good at when somebody's up in their feelings, really good at sort of compassionately engaging with somebody without necessarily coddling or validating them. Or not. I want to. I mean, emotions are valid, but the stories behind those emotions aren't always valid. They aren't always true. They aren't always helpful. That's what I'm trying to say. Um, but yeah, I don't know any of that. I can't predict anything. I can't say if it's going to happen in 10 years or 1,000 years, or if it'll happen at all. Maybe we're just a doomed species. That's entirely possible. I mean, probably we are sooner or later. I mean, well, we're like 10,000 years old or something. Dinosaurs roamed the earth for millions of years and then gone. So we'll be lucky if we get a million years, just like if we get 100,000 years, 100,000 more years, or even 10,000 more years. I mean, the rate we're going. But hopefully, we'll see. Um, Point is, I can deliberately try to act to mold the earth in my image. And that's the world of the mind. And some people do that, and maybe that's exactly what they're supposed to do. Or I can live a word at a time through improvisation, no pretense of knowing what the hell's going to happen next. I'm still going to apply for, this thing that I'm interested in, but don't know if I'll be accepted. And if I'm accepted, I don't know. I don't know what, if anything, will come of it. But it feels like something that, in my word at a time improv, right here, right now, I'd like to do. Might change. Don't know. Is it a better way to live? Maybe getting down to the lowest energy state is just laziness. Maybe I should be kicking my ass and busting my ass to make the world a better place. However, I think of better right now. But I've had taste of that. And not only is it generally less effective, it's also quite a bit less enjoyable. And in my 20s, I did a lot of, a lot of improv. I lived as if it was true, even if it was still kind of a pose. I was still kind of walking on one foot, hopping on one foot. Um, and the results were incredible. Like not what I thought I wanted, not what I expected, but incredible nonetheless. Better than anything I could have come up with. So maybe that's where the trust comes in. Like, do I trust that living in this improvisational space, or I don't pretend to know what my fellow improvisers are going to say next, or where the story's going to go? Is that better than trying to move the river, trying to write a script, and try to get everybody else on board with my script? Yeah, again, it's not necessarily about trust. It's just about, at this point, it's about looking around, seeing what's actually happening. How do fellow improvisers respond when I try to get them all to go to my script? It doesn't work well on stage and doesn't work well in the world. So I'm talking a long time. I'll stop now. Cheers.